It's time for the Drugless Doctor. Call a friend or family member now and let them benefit from today's exciting and life-changing program. If you want to lead a healthier life, the time is now.
Hello, this is Dr. Bob, Dr. Anthony, and Dr. Casey DeMaria, and I'd like to welcome you once again to another program of the Drugless Doctor. Now, today, we're going to be talking about a very interesting, could be a very sensitive topic to some of you, but we have observed, and I've observed this over almost 40 years, probably one of the most significant reasons that many people suffer with conditions, but nobody wants to talk about it, but it is out there. What we're going to be talking about in great detail are parasites. Parasites happen to be opportunistic organisms that want to hang out in your body. And they want to do that, and they just literally will live off of you, hang off, do some really crazy things inside of you called excrement, or have a bowel movement, which could really sabotage your nervous system. So what I'd like you to do now is go to our website, which is Drugless Doctors, and doctors is spelled DRS.com, and look at the outline that we have prepared for you. And I want to go back to an article that really triggered me to be a little bit more aggressive with my conversation. And I'm going to invite you now to go to Google and type in the words WSJ, which stands for Wall Street Journal, and then type next to it cat bites. I'm bringing this up to you because if the Wall Street Journal, which is a world-renowned business newspaper, does an article on cat bites and parasites, something's going on out there. And what we have learned over time, and I'm saying this in love, people who have compassion and love and joy and peace and are very creative human beings tend to have a house pet, which is a cat. And what we have learned over time is individuals who have cats seem to have a greater potential to have parasite challenges than those who do not. Now, there are other reasons that people could have parasites. Do you eat wild game like deer, squirrel, and rabbit? I had somebody came in the other day that eats wild goose. Do you eat sushi? Have you been to a third world country? I know someone that spent a lot of time in Africa and ended up having an issue with lymphoma. Lymphoma are lymph nodes that literally have gone crazy. Well, they're not going crazy, they're just trying to do their job. And so we're going to, in a very loving, very slow, passionate way, explain to you what's going on here, because I want you to know something. Anytime that we have someone that comes into the practice that is this close to either death or not knowing what's going on inside of their body, we almost always conclude that they could have a parasite issue of some type, and we do whatever we can to educate them to make wise choices for protocols for optimal health and wellness. Dr. Anthony.
Now, it's very interesting there, Dr. Bob, as we've posed this question many times before, is why are 3 chiropractors talking about parasites? Well, it's very interesting because just like you mentioned, and studies and research show, if you have parasites that live inside your body, when they excrete inside your body, their excrement affects your nervous system and your neurotransmitters that exist inside your body. So as chiropractors, we work with the nervous system. So if your nervous system is not functioning optimally, we want to get to the root cause. And it just so happens that many of you that are out there right now have a parasite challenge. So it's been estimated that 90% of all human beings at some time in their life are going to have some sort of a parasite infection. Well, what is a parasite? A parasite could be lice, it could be a tick, it could be something called protozoa, it could be different types of worms, all of which that can live inside your body. Now there are some that travel in your bloodstream, There are some that hang out in your GI system. They can be just about anywhere, and what they do is they use your food or your body systems or your cells in order to get their own energy because they're trying to survive, but those parasites will affect you. Now, it's very interesting when we are working with individuals in the office, there's a variety of different ways that we can see that they have a parasite challenge. One of the ways that we can do that is through a simple blood test called a CBC with a differential. Now, CBC with a differential stands for a complete blood count. And what it'll do is it'll break down the amount of white blood cells you have in your body. Now, I don't know how many of you knew this, but there's 5 different types of white blood cells: neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils. Now, eosinophils and basophils are 2 types of white blood cells that, when elevated, let us know that there's some level of parasite activity going on inside your body. Now, we've worked with a number of individuals in our office over time, helped to get rid of parasites through some avenues which we'll talk to you about. But CBC with a differential is a great way to discover if someone has an active parasite infection. Now, it's very interesting because you could also have, you might not have a high level of eosinophils and still have parasite challenges inside your body. You say, really? Yes, because just like I mentioned, they could be hanging out in a particular area of your body versus traveling throughout your body. So it's just one of the ways that we can assess somebody for parasites. We could also do something called a stool sample. Well, why would you do a stool sample? A stool sample would let us know if somebody had parasites in their GI system because there would be evidence, whether it was eggs or parasites themselves, that exist inside the stool. So those are just a couple of ways that we could assess somebody for parasite activity. Now, Dr. Kaysen, talk to us about some ways that individuals might come into contact with parasites out in their day-to-day life.
So when we're thinking about parasites, as far as you could be coming into contact with parasites if you were in any place where the food preparation wasn't in the proper storage, or also the food supply. So we were talking about sushi or wild game, but also pork has a tendency to have parasites, uncooked beef or uncooked chicken. All of these foods have a tendency to have parasites, but also you could be coming into contact with them at restaurants, daycares, nursing homes, schools, anywhere that there are people out there. And Dr. Anthony was sharing 90% of us will come into contact with parasites. They are transferable from people to another person, but also through other pets. So you might not have a cat at home, but you could have a dog at home. So dogs also can have parasites. Really, any kind of animal has a tendency to have parasites if they're hanging out in their digestive tract. Now, also what could potentially cause you to have parasites is your water supply. And most people know that when they're doing international travel, you're not drinking the local water, but in the United States, drinking the tap water, you could be getting parasites from that runoff from the soil, but also think about the farms and the runoff, but also the human waste system. So as far as the sewage, you could be consuming any kind of chemicals or parasites from that. So that's why we encourage you to drink water from a pure source. And I know personally, all of us drink reverse osmosis water, which is purified, and you're taking out any of those toxins or chemicals, but also any other kind of critters that might be hanging out in there. So you want to think about, what are you coming into contact every day that you don't even realize that you're having these unfriendly bacteria and other things hanging out in your digestive tract? Dr. Bob.
Well, I'll tell you, just as you mentioned about water, and I know this could happen, happened to a couple people in our practice life. First, let's just say you go out to Colorado and you're going to be going hiking, and you see these TV programs with the rushing water. You don't want to drink water from one of those streams. I also had a young lady that went to a sports camp, and she happened to jump into a pond, and she had a major health challenge, and her eosinophil count that Dr. Anthony was talking about was like out of the ballpark. Now, there is another venue, another opportunity for us to do a testing tube, and there's a urine test that we can do in our practice called the Organics Basic profile, the comprehensive version. And what happens is that, as what Dr. Anthony was talking about, there's byproducts of metabolism because these parasites, they excrete in your body. And so there are certain patterns that we can see in the urine, and we could conclude you have these unfriendly and unwanted organisms that are occurring there. And just before we take a break, I'll leave this thought with you. You could chew on this, no pun intended, that do you grind your teeth at night? Do you wake up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning? Those are very typical body signals for people who may have issues with parasites are very active. Here's another one that I notice periodically is that do you chew your nails? Because see, what happens is if you chew your nails, your body is needing minerals. Do you have bowed legs? I've noticed that men with bowed legs need minerals, and oftentimes they could have parasite issues too. And we're bringing this information to you because it was just recently in the Plain Dealer, which we'll talk about in the very next segment, that we have a major parasite issue in northern Ohio. But I have friends from the East Coast that have been impacted by ticks and Lyme disease. This is very serious. And we've had individuals come into our practice I have seen that have been in wheelchairs, and I start chit-chatting with them and find out they have 10 cats in their home or 20 cats in their home, or they eat sushi. So we're just trying to present you information, let you have more of an awareness that's what's going on. In Dr. Bob's Drugless Guide to Stop, or Dr. Bob's Guide to Stop ADHD in 18 Days, when we did our pilot program with children about 15 years ago, we also came to the conclusion a lot of them could have a parasite involvement. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. I'm a chiropractor because my goal, my passion is to help people get better without medication.
There's different types of chiropractic. I wanted to be involved in something that was bigger than myself.
Here I would say it's been so much more than just seeing those lives transform. It's been being able to be a part of their transformation.
Wellness is a state of mental, social, and physical well-being.
Really, wellness is from the inside out, being able to have your body make the decisions on its own, naturally, without drugs, medications, or surgeries.
We work and strive at addressing each one of those different facets of wellness so that it's really a well-rounded overall approach for an individual.
I think the atmosphere is really very welcoming. I think all three really work well together as a team.
It's much more than you would find somewhere else. The individuality of it, the recommendations, the doctor's expertise.
We do not use a cookie cutter plan. Every person that comes into our office is very unique, and they have specific plans and treatment protocols specific for their findings.
Utilizing our innovative tools and technology, we're able to get the best results and faster, and it's really easy on the practice member, specifically with the thermal scans that we do. By measuring the ambient skin temperature, we're able to measure from each assessment how the pattern's changing.
We offer digital video fluoroscopy, motion films of a person's spine, getting right to the root cause.
From someone that was previously diagnosed with ADHD and was having developmental delays in speech, working with them here and seeing the transformation of them developmentally, other things, attention span, energy, colic, all these things that are improving over a period of time.
So whether it's a little baby that's getting adjusted for the first time, or a mom that's getting adjusted, or an athlete, it's really cool to see what we're able to do and how that can impact their life for the long term.
The two things, chiropractic care and nutrition, go hand in hand, and you really need both components. You can't just say, I'll do whatever I want nutritionally and then just have chiropractic care and Dr. Bob will just fix me. Really, you have to have both going together.
In our wellness store, we offer a variety of different products. They're all professional lines and products that are tried and true. We have many different types of evaluations and assessments that can tell us what supplement is going to be best for one one of our practice members here in the office so that we're just not throwing the dice when it comes to their health.
The Drugless Doctors is very forward-thinking. It's a lot different than anything else that I had ever seen before, so I felt like I was learning something new.
We have information on social media, our website, our blog. We do TV programs, so we're always putting out good quality information because more often than not I hear from somebody, I never knew that. Or I got that information from a magazine or a TV program and I never really knew that that wasn't correct.
So being able to give them simple tools and natural principles that they can be able to empower themselves to make every day, that's really, it's really exciting for me to be able to see people and their changed lifestyles.
Come and join us and participate with natural drugless chiropractic care. Hello, this is Dr. Bob, Dr. Anthony, and Dr. Kaysen DeMaria, and I'd like to welcome you once again to the Drugless Doctor. So we've been talking about a very sensitive subject. We've been talking about parasites. And recently, the Cleveland newspaper, The Plain Dealer, what really brought to our attention most recently, I'm talking about within a 2-week time period of us preparing this program, was talking about the massive amounts of parasite involvement with deer, the deer population, and they were talking about the cat population in northern Ohio and the large number of parasites that they have found in these particular animals. And they briefly talked about Toxoplasmosis gondii. And I know that most of you right now that may have a parasite issue or have a cat at home, we're not here to upset you. I know that the animal group was kind of upset with Ohio State. They said that, and this article in the Plain Dealer, by the way, did come from Ohio State, that they were not being totally conclusive about what's happening. But I want you to know from our experience, this in fact is true. And I think also what I'm noticing that there's more and more people today that eat sushi. And you don't really want to eat anything raw. And, you know, I watch cooking channels. I know that Dr. Anthony and Dr. Kaysen watch cooking channels. And Dr. Kaysen said something I want to re-emphasize with you, is if you have raw meat at home, raw poultry, chicken, turkey, if you have raw egg, please wash your hands. Please wash that countertop. Use a paper towel that you could throw away because, you know, many, many years ago, I was at a wedding with Debbie and there was somebody that was not washing their hands at the wedding that we went to that was creating the food, the caterer, and there was like 400 people at this event and over 300 of them got very sick and near death. And I know that Dr. Anthony and I went to a franchise restaurant years ago and him and I both had a challenge. And I know that unfortunately also years ago, and I'll never do this again, I was eating a piece of chicken thigh, and if you see any chicken that has blood in it, that chicken is not cooked. Don't put it in your body. And as we are preparing this program, recently in the major business newspaper in the United States, there are people that died from drinking beer. I mean, this is serious stuff. And we're just trying to bring it to the forefront that you just have an awareness of what's going on. Dr. Anthony.
Now, I know that many of you are thinking right now, well, I might have a parasite challenge, and it's a good chance that you could have some parasite involvement in your body. Now, there's something that I do every day. It's called Agricept. It's probably the very best thing that you could be doing for yourself outside of getting adjusted to make sure that this promotes general health and well-being. It's good for your immune system, but it also has the potential to take care of any parasite activity that's going on inside your body. So we suggest people do 10 drops in a glass of water every single day for overall health and well-being, and also to be able to take care of parasites. Now, I will tell you this, if someone has a massive parasite infection, Agricept alone won't get rid of the parasites. It can help, but you might need to do something that we do in the office quite regularly with an individual, is using a product called ADP. Now, ADP is an emulsified oregano product. Now, what does that mean, Dr. Anthony? It's encapsulated inside the capsule of the oregano. So when you take a supplement, your stomach acid breaks down the supplement. ADP specifically designed not to get broken down until it passes past your stomach into your small intestine, and then the oregano gets released. I have had many individuals do our ADP protocol, which is a 1-month protocol, and they have had phenomenal results getting rid of yeast, fungus, and parasites, and they've had a variety of different things that have cleared up. So the ADP protocol involves using something called ADP, which cleans up your digestive system, something called BioDolph-7, which is a probiotic, which helps recolonize your digestive system with good bacteria, and then it involves something called colon caps. The colon caps are an important part of the equation because if you have parasites, those parasites lay eggs inside your body. If you don't flush out the eggs that they laid, they're going to come right back to life. So there's a lot of times where we work specifically with individuals to maybe do the ADP protocol once or twice to really eliminate any sort of parasite challenge in your body. Now there's a variety of other products that we've used with individuals with parasites. There's something called FC-Cytal or Dysbiocide, which are also helpful at eliminating parasites. There's a product by Gaia Herbs called Parashield, or a homeopathic called Paracleanse that helps get rid of parasites. Now these are all different items that we've been able to use over time with people in order to help get rid of parasites. Now parasites are very interesting, and we've talked about a variety of different ways of assessing people for parasites. Now Dr. Kaysen's going to talk about something that we did at an event in the not so distant past, and what we saw with that individual is quite interesting.
In addition to some of the assessments that you can do, like the blood test or the stool sample or the organics, we also have the capability to do something called a biocommunication scan. And what this is, it's a device where it's a hand cradle, and you're able to place your hand on the hand cradle, and by using different electrical signals, we're able to see if there's any areas of dysfunction or toxicity or deficiency in your body. And from our experience with having this FDA-approved cradle, we're able to see different patterns. And what's really interesting is, more common than not now, as this epidemic of parasites is increasing, parasites may come up on one of the top items in your body. And we're seeing this with kids, but also really with anyone that may have these different body signals or digestive challenges. Now there was this one gentleman when we were at an event, and the top thing was parasites. And a lot of times when members see this, they might think, well, what is that, or what does that mean? And they start putting together the different things that may have happened in the past years as far as digestive challenges or IBS or other challenges that they may have went to another healthcare provider, but no one really got to the cause of what's really happening. And it could be because these parasites are chronically hanging out in the digestive tract, eating the minerals that you're eating for your healing, and then they're literally excreting items in your digestion and hanging out and lingering, and it can cause a lot of different health challenges. I know we've seen a lot of kids also with parasites that might be grinding their teeth at night. Maybe you have a mouth guard. Maybe you have a crawling or itching sensation on your body. These are also other body signals that you could have a challenge with parasites. Dr. Bob.
Well, let's tie some of this together for you as far as thinking.